Andy owns it.
Okay, I have 5 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call meeting to order. Have the clerk call roll, please.
I'm Chris Gaylor, Andy Smart,
Present.
Mayor Grant.
Present.
Okay, Mayor.
Had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting.
Yeah, does everything look good to you?
It does.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Citizens petitions. I've got you guys on the agenda here. So we'll get to you in just a minute. Department heads, Mr. Swank.
I don't have anything this evening.
Well, we're moving right along here. Chief Little, Chief Miller are not here. Under unfinished business, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and move to B here because they're not going to be very long.
Yeah, that's
709 South Perry Street, status, Sedley Wisher is a new owner, and you guys are here tonight. And sounds like you're going to tear that property down yourself rather than.
Most likely. I can't get anybody to come out and give me a bid. I've called 5 different people and they don't call me back.
Yeah,
So,
well, we hadn't gotten any bids yet either, and
Yeah.
that was what we talked about in previous meetings, was getting bids to tear it down.
yeah.
Nobody had given us any bids yet, so.
So Kyle's on vacation. I'm gonna ask him when he comes back, I'll probably won't talk to him till Thursday if I can use his excavator and have his operator come down and tear it down, and I'll just order dumpsters and get it done. And that way
Okay.
everything's off the property. I have picked a house that's gonna go back on the property. It's 40 by 60, the house, and then we'd like to put a garage out back as well. Measuring the property, we went over and measured the other day from the curb across width-wise. It looks like my neighbor's fence is in my yard, but I don't care. I just need to make sure I have enough space. And there is that 13.5 foot setback. It looks like I have enough space there. Is there something under there that we know of, that setback on the north side?
In the backyard, that cement slab, you mean?
No, there's a,
13.5 foot setback on the north side of that property.
which is the neighbor side.
I don't know. Eric, do you have any
North
idea?
side.
There's nothing that I would be aware of. I mean.
You're saying when you're looking at, it, there's a 13.5 foot,
Yes.
is that part of the alley? Would that be
No.
part of the alley?
No, it says the north side. The north side would be the neighbor's property.
As you're heading towards South Perry Street.
And that's, how do you know that setback's there? It says it where in your
It's
description?
on
or-
the description of the property. When I bought the house, it talks about it in there.
Huh. It doesn't make sense to me.
There's no, is there any utility easement or there be any utility easement?
It doesn't say it's a utility easement.
You will have to get a building permit,
Right.
and Eric will come out once you apply for the building permit, make sure the setbacks are correct and everything
That's
is
the other thing
okay.
I'm trying to figure out too, is like, what's the setback off the sidewalks? How far back off the sidewalks I have to be?
We're
Yeah,
unsure of that.
I'm
You'll
unsure of
have
that too.
to, basically do the application, and I'll have research that I'll have to do on it and see, zoning and.
Typically and I'm quoting this from memory, and Eric's probably better at it than I am, but you can't be any further out toward the street than the average of the rest of the houses on the block.
Right.
Because they don't want somebody putting a house out here and then all the rest of the houses are back here and.
No, I would move
And
it back.
that's
It's too
kinda,
close to the
that's kind of what I
sidewalk.
was thinking too. I mean, because the house we're looking at is supposedly have a porch on the front
And the side.
and on the side of 1 Pond Street. If I can do it, I like to do it that way, so it's presentable from either direction.
Yeah, that'd look nice.
But I was also, didn't want the porch to extend past, say, the neighbor's house next door. If it's back a foot, I don't care. If it's even with it, that's fine too.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, just from what you're telling me, that's probably gonna be acceptable.
Okay. All right.
Is there a max of,
How many feet do I have to
Footprint.
be off the?
Yeah.
Is it like 10
I
feet?
think the alley was what, 3, it's crazy, it's like 3 foot, isn't it?
okay,
Off of
Yeah.
the alley,
Yeah.
I think 5
Yeah.
foot on the side. sides of the property.
We got
Right,
money.
mine
I mean, one thing is how many square feet the lot is. You got a
Right.
7,200 square foot lot to build in R1. Then the house has to at least be 720 square feet.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a max though of footprint? Because we do want to put a garage on.
There is
Like that,
a
like-
maximum on
yeah.
lot coverage.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of looking, the next block down, there's a house that has a house, a breezeway and a garage. And I'm kind of going that
Kind of
direction,
look at that same direction.
so.
It's gotta be better than what's there now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You
There's
should
things
have
living
plenty
in
of
there.
room. I would think.
I don't know, there's a groundhog living in there right now, so.
And a really mean black cat.
Yeah, there's some feral cats in that house.
Yeah.
In the basement.
It's only one left. The neighbors actually trapped them.
Okay,
And they took them and had them fixed and sent them off to the rescue, so.
okay.
But the black cat, she mean.
He's mean. He comes over our house every now and then. So yeah,
I'm not messing with her.
I,
She's gonna have to relocate.
So I'll give you, we'll give you the house, plans as soon as we'll download them. With what house we've been looking at.
I had to make changes to it.
And get the application in here in the clerk's office. There's also a demolition permit
Okay.
to tear the other one down.
and I got a couple names if you guys need it. As far as, did you give them any names yet?
They gave me Warwick and Gates.
Bird, Hetrick, and Grub.
The guy,
I
the
haven't
guy
tried Hetrick.
down there by Hillsboro, what's his name? I was just telling you the other day, he was tearing down in Kingman. Seymour. Mark Seymour. I can give you Mark Seymour's number. He said he'd be willing to tear stuff down.
All right, so Hetrick is the other one.
Let me see if I got Mark's number.
I called Poisel, I've called Jerry Beck.
Yeah, he's in Lafayette. He's busy. This guy's name's Mark Seymour.
Okay.
He's lives within 20 minutes of here, 25. His number is 765-366-0374.
Okay. 37.
And he does demolition.
Okay.
And I think you pretty much got the rest of them that Eric said are pretty much the guys I know around here.
Yeah, the local.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ladies in the office gave me Warwick and Gates, so.
Yeah.
That was fine. All right,
All right. Well, thank you guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
thank you. We'll keep you updated on what's happening.
When do you think you're gonna have that tore down? I mean, do you have kind of any idea how soon you like to do that or?
ASAP.
ASAP.
Yeah.
So you
It sounds
find
great to
somebody,
me.
huh?
I think that sounds great. So,
The issue is like, we didn't want to disturb the ground because we want to put another basement in, or partial basement under
Okay.
the new house.
So even if,
Didn't want to tear that out and have to fill it and then
Right.
dig it all back out, because then the ground's not gonna be stable to
Right.
put my foundation stuff on.
Gotcha.
So the problem is block layers are about 3 months out.
I got a block layer's number if you're interested too. Anyway, do Eric get
Look,
hold of
I'm living in a
Well,
camper, I'm ready to be in a house,
I
so.
thought of it 2 ways. I thought of a block layer, or I thought of pouring concrete, which is the more expensive way, and do solid core walls.
you? I got one of them too.
I may need to spend time with you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Eric Smith, HWC Water Project Streetscape Updates.
Okay, cover the easier of the two first. We'll cover the water.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. We've now pretty well got all of the other project work completed that was on the punch list, so we're close to finalizing them out on Division, the rest of Division A that they can do. The work at the well field and at the treatment plant. Division B, we've already closed out. The one remaining item, which I know we've talked about, is the ground storage tank. We, once the city made the decision to replace the reservoir with a new ground storage tank, we developed design plans and have submitted those to IDEM to get a construction permit. And with those, we've now gotten pricing from Graves Construction, who's our contractor. Judd gave the opinion that since they were the only bidder and we publicly advertised at that time, we have the right to negotiate a change order with them to do this as opposed to bidding this out to other contractors. Obviously, we reserve the right to bid it out if we choose to, but we got costs from them, and that's on the first attachment to this. This is a table that I shared with you all in the city earlier this year. This is an overall summary of the costs of the project, including Division A and Division B. We had put together an estimate of demolishing the reservoir and constructing the new 500,000 gallon ground storage tank. As you can see, take into account deducting the roof that we were going to replace on the reservoir, because then that is in the contract now, that would be taken out. And then we plugged in some numbers that Graves had in their bid for selective demolition, which was basically demolishing the roof that's on the reservoir now. And then they gave us a quote for demolishing the rest of the reservoir. At the time, we thought those numbers were a little high. So we were hoping when we got them to price this, that those numbers would come down. Using that estimate and what we had showed Baker Tilly is that the total project cost would be 5.6 million, 5.63. Subtracting out the original SRF loan amount showed that we needed about 797,000 additional funds. At that time, Baker Tilly said water utility had cash reserves to cover that. So we've got Graves' number. It's down here below. It's 1.164. Take into account deductions of things that are not going to be in the project now, like the roof. So that's within about $20,000 of our number. But looking deeper into their schedule values, their numbers for demolition did come down. But there are some things that added to the cost. So overall, I think the number is good. Some things that are factored into this that were not into the original estimate that they gave was they're doing geotech testing outside of the reservoir ahead of demolition so that material procurement and the foundation for the ground storage tank can be designed by the tank manufacturer. That allows us to not have to do the demolition, keep the tank in service while they can keep manufacturing the new tank. We now have final design plans, and there's quite a bit of grading on the site. If you know, it's kind of like a volcano up there now. So we're really going to change the grade there because the tank is going to be a smaller diameter but taller. So we're going to be setting it below where the bottom of the reservoir is now, and then we're going to need to transition grade to what's around it, and we've got to protect the adjoining property. So there's a lot more dirt work than you think. And then also we've included what's a non-typical tank size. They have economical tank sizes based on volume. Say it's 500,000. They say the most economical one that they can manufacture is so tall with X diameter. In talking with Eric, if we use their typical one, we'd be raising the pressure in the low zone by 7 to 8 PSI. That's a little risky with an old system. I don't want to be looking at leaks, neither is Eric. So we're going to go with a little shorter tank to where we're only going to be raising the pressure in the low zone by about 3 PSI. That should be safer. So it's going to be a little shorter tank, a little larger diameter. So that was, we paid a little bit of a premium. It was an extra $40,000, but I think it's worth that to protect the system. So based on what I've seen from them, I would recommend we proceed. They have offered a schedule. Oh, the other thing that really, based on the procurement time of the material for the tank, the new tank won't be on site and ready to be erected till basically next June, so about a year from now. So there's going to be a lot of idle time. Then they'll come back and actually do the demo and set the tank. So nothing will happen with the reservoir until March. So they'll demo it, get it to grade, build the foundation. Then once the tank arrives on site, they'll erect it. So there'll be about a 3-month period, Eric, where the tank will be out of service, but it'll be next spring, hopefully when things are settled down a little bit. So that's generally what I want to present. If you're in agreement, we just got their schedule of values, and we can prepare a change order to get them moving. They can start the procurement of materials while we're waiting on our permit. We really just can't start building until we get the permit. So, any questions?
The funding there, the grants, everything ready.
They're working with Baker Tilly, which is our municipal
Okay.
advisors. They've been working with them all along on funding these projects, and Eric said
Yeah,
that
we're
he's
basically
spoken
going to
with them.
exhaust the remaining SRF funds we have, and then
Okay.
what is remaining would come from cash
Cash
reserves
reserves.
in the water utility.
Okay. So we should be able to cover.
That's what they've said, yes.
Now, okay,
I can confirm it with them.
okay. Will there have to be a rate change, or are those rates locked in, or are utility
Um,
rates locked in?
The utility rates are locked in, and the water rates just increased in order to cover this project to begin
Okay,
with.
okay.
Yeah,
It's
the
21, I
We should be
think.
good.
Yeah,
rates are set to cover the debt that you incurred for borrowing
Right.
the amount we did.
right.
And purposefully that they suggested we borrow the money because of the interest rate as much as we
Right.
did,
Right.
not use cash reserves.
Right.
So now we have that ability to use those cash reserves and not have to borrow any more,
Yeah.
and can get the project
Mm-hmm.
completed and get the tank replaced. So
Mhm.
I can verify that all with Ross, but that's what he had told me in spring when I talked to him about it. So, but again, we would use all the SRF funds first. So it's likely you wouldn't start dipping into the water utility reserves until next year,
Mhm.
or late this year, when they get a material bill for the tank material when they order it.
So I've got a question. If all the SRF funds are used, expended out, would that project close with them, and then we would just continue to pay out of
Yeah,
our funds? I mean, you could go ahead and close out that project and
yeah.
do all that, or does it
I
extend?
say
it?
that, but I think they consider the project, if the change order is active, even though you're using their
Our
funds, they would probably still monitor it,
Okay,
but it would basically just be us dealing with them. Yeah,
gotcha.
for all
Okay.
intents and purposes, you would close out the loan, and you would not be doing any more draws because the loan would
Right,
be fully
right,
drawn out.
Right, right.
And then any expenses beyond that, you would just pay out of your.
That's what I was wondering. It would just come to us direct, or we'd pay it directly versus going through Bank of New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to be done on other ones. Okay, thank you very much. I mean, it has to be done. I don't think, and he feels like, Eric feels like it's a good price, and we got good pricing on the different things that we needed for this project. I'm okay with it. How do you feel, Mayor?
I'm on board.
Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion that we approve the Attica Water Systems Project, Exhibit A.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll confirm final numbers, and get a change order written up, and Mayor, I'll get it to you for
Okay.
signature.
Thank you very
Thanks, Eric.
much.
Yep. Now, on the streetscape project, I've got a pay request, but I want to give you kind of a general update first. We had a big powwow with the contractor 2 weeks ago. Shortly after they had mobilized, they were kind of throwing their hands up in the air saying, hey, we're stopped. We can't work on the parking lot because of the contaminated soil. We can't work on Perry Street because of the lighting. So we basically walked the job and addressed, they had a lot of questions. Some of them were legitimate. Some of them, I think they could have resolved on their own. But anyway, we held their hand, went through it. On the way up to the meeting, I actually talked to Judd. He had just got back from vacation, and we were able to confirm that the contamination is outside their work area of the parking lot. So we were able to release them that day and said, you're free to work here. So any potential delay claims went away immediately, which is good. That was my biggest fear, because anytime a contractor says, hey, I'm stopped, they're going to bill you for every piece of equipment on the job and everything else. So we were able to avoid that. We had a handful of things that I know Eric's got a few things to get back to them on, and we've got back to them on. So we've got them to move forward. The only issue that's come up recently is in working at the parking lot, they've done some testing, and their geotech company, who's Alton Witzig, has told them that the area of the parking lot needs to be undercut because it's failing compaction tests. Needs to be undercut, backfilled with geogrid and 12 inches of number 53 stone, and then place the stone base, stone sub base, and asphalt on it. Well, we've pushed back on that because when we did the demolition project, Todd was up here, our inspector, and all that was backfilled and compacted.
With structural backfill.
And tested. So Patriot did all that testing. So we pulled all those test reports today. This just came up yesterday. So I'm giving you fresh updates. So we're kind of pushing back on this. It appears that their geotech company really only tested in that southeast corner up near the retaining wall in the alley. So we're confident the rest of the parking lot is probably pretty good. Worst case, I think we might have to do something in that corner. But we're reviewing the test reports, and we're not going to approve anything near what they're asking for. And we're getting their geotech company going to talk to the one that we used. And at the end of the day, sometimes these geotech companies are overly conservative and say, "Oh, you need to do this," or "It would be a good idea to do this." It's a parking lot; it's not going to have regular travel on it. It's not like you're going to have street load. There's not going to be any truck loadings in that parking lot.
Now, are they billing us for this delay because of
No.
Okay.
But they want us to address this. Now, I'm sure if we tell them to do something, then what their geotech is coming, they're going to want something in writing from us saying, we're releasing them. And if it comes to that, we'll do it. But, there needs to be a voice of reason somewhere here.
Right.
We're not going to pay them $200,000 to undercut and put all this in.
Well, we just pay to have it done.
Yeah. So just making you aware of it. I'll keep you in the loop as this progresses. There could be some extra work done, but we're going to try to minimize or eliminate that. So we're dealing with it. Todd had an email with a ton of reports and pictures, so we've got documentation of what was done before. So I think we'll be able to minimize this, but that's the issue of the week with him. So other than that, the lighting issue is resolved. So I think Duke's going to be out here to remove the poles soon. So that should address their.
They were out here today.
Oh, were they?
Yep.
Good.
Them and 5 Star.
Good. So that will allow them to move ahead on Perry Street work, sidewalk, and they're going to be pouring the bases for the new lights. So that should allow that to move ahead. Other than that, I think, have you done anything with the utilities in the alley for the
I'm
market?
just going to ask you that.
They're there.
You got them in?
Already got them in.
Okay,
So
good.
everything's been moved, all the utilities are where they need to be?
This is
On the
for
alley?
new market.
Okay.
There's a 2-inch water
Okay.
line.
This was to go from the alley into where the market is, so those are stubbed out and
Okay.
ready for.
Because at one time you were going to have them move all that over, I mean, the electrical, all that stuff.
Yeah, all that, the companies themselves, like there was a vault in the alley.
AT&T.
And AT&T had to move their distribution. The
Okay.
gas company had to move their.
So
yeah,
all
it was
that's been done?
All that was
Okay.
done by them.
Okay.
It was already
Okay.
done, yeah.
Good.
Okay. So I do have a pay request. I have one copy of it, which is here. And then a cover letter. This is pay request 1. And basically we have verified all the quantities. A lot of this was mobilization, traffic control, basically startup. All of their storm sewer pipe, I believe, is in. They've set inlets. There's a decent amount of sidewalk removal in this estimate, and that's generally most of it. A lot of demo and setup. So The amount requested is $360,000. Taking out 5% retainage, the amount they would be due is $342,909.77. And
That just
Joanne,
doesn't
if you
seem
need,
like
if
they've
you
got
need
much.
help figuring out where that money comes from, I know some of it will be community crossings and some will be the funds that Baker Tilly kind of allocated for it. So we probably ought to, since this is the first one,
Yeah.
maybe get
appreciate
Ross
that.
on the phone and say, where do I pull this from?
Or just the amounts. I know when I spoke with Ross, he's on paternity leave, or at least he was. When I spoke with him last, since we've got to spend down all the ARPA funds, we're literally going to spend all of the non-community crossing money out of ARPA funds first.
Okay.
And then we'll pull from other funds once
Okay.
we get that spent down.
Okay.
That, just because it's got to be fully committed by the end of this year and fully paid out by the end of next.
That's
And
where
it
we're
just
getting
made-
the $30,000 for the lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just made more sense to go ahead and for it to be cleaner, to
Yeah.
just draw all that down and get that paid out. But obviously I'll need some assistance in, just the figures, what comes out of community crossing and what comes out of
Okay.
the
If
ARPA
you
money.
need anything from us, feel free to reach
I
out.
mean, you
Alright.
think they're where they should be? 'Cause, man, I tell you
mean,
what,
yeah.
it doesn't look like a whole lot's been done. And can't tell you how many days I go down by there and there's equipment sitting there and nobody's working.
I would say they're probably a little
half the
bit,
time.
I would say they're probably a little behind.
Okay.
But they've not made any requests for an extension at this point, and
Okay, 'cause
I see no reason to grant them anything yet.
And
So-
also when you drive
Well,
by there, there's a lot of times it doesn't look like much is going on, but, we've watched them go all the way up Main Street, put in storm tile,
Okay.
set, boxes, yeah, so I mean, and then it gets covered right back up, with.
It's not
numbering
show
stuff.
work, is it?
Yeah. it's
Well,
not-
and like I said, I
yeah, it's
can't
not
tell you
like
how
it's
many
above
times
ground
that
and you
stuff's
see-
sitting there and there's nobody around. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
are we working on this project? But
Yeah, a lot of the
somewhere.
above ground stuff will
Okay.
start showing up later.
Okay. As long as you guys are happy.
I'm not.
I'm glad I'm not their boss.
Stating the facts that yes, there's work
Okay.
going on.
Okay.
Anything else, Eric?
That's all I got.
All
I
right.
did tell Eric we got plans of the casings to review out on the east side. So, we'll get those reviewed for compliance to the city ordinances and back to the developer.
I appreciate everything you guys have done so far. I appreciate the help with the lighting situation. That was a debacle for quite a while. But
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
yeah, and I think it's going to be a lot better product when
Yeah.
it's done this way.
It'll look nice.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and move on to new business, utility credits.
Looks good.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
All right.
Motion carries. Aye. Payroll ledgers.
Everything look good, Joanne?
Yep, I ran it.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Motion carries. You don't need anything on this, right?
I need that. Thank you, sir.
If I find it, I'll invite you.
Claims?
Has everybody had a chance to look at claims?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we approve claims.
I'll second. All in favor?
All right.
Motion passes. Aye. Miscellaneous business. Next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, July 2nd at 5 p.m. That's all I have for miscellaneous business. Anybody else have anything? There being no other business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor?
All right.
Adjourn. Thank you.
I will be on vacation this next week.
Of course you will.
Oh, whatever. I'm telling you, hey, I can't afford one of them fancy sheds like you got. I'm telling you.
Believe me. Okay, well, we're not live
Or
anymore.
I gotta go down to.
He's lying to you, he's got 4 of them. They're just not on his property.